Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and every nook and cranny that receives our 100,000 watt transmitter, permeating all the nooks and crannies right into that little box called their radio. We are going to have a great show for you today. Of course, we cannot forget to say good morning to the entire world. Why? Because we are listened to all over, folks. We have folks from places sometimes come in and it's like, guess where I'm from? We have a great time. Anyway, folks, we have a lot to talk about. But before we get started, let's head on over to our geniuses, the magical folks that make all these things work some kind of way. Studio, buenos dias.
Some kind of way would be magic. Because sometimes it doesn't work.
I know.
Good morning, Egberto. I started off my morning here with a trip to the transmitter. Our HD2 encoder is not working again, so we don't have HD channels. Yeah, you can only hear it on the internet. So I just went over there to see what the tin cans of string were doing, and the tin can was not there. So I guess we're just going to have to go to the transmitter people and say, what is up with this? Anyway.
Oh, but you know what? Yeah, at least we're on one of our bands.
Oh, yeah. We had put up the HD3 yesterday, the classic country station. It's wall-to-wall classic country music that people will just thoroughly enjoy. I've certainly enjoyed listening to the server just play for about the last 3 weeks. So we were confident that it was going to work. And then the encoder says, no, I'm not going to work today. I am on strike. So, yeah, well, it's one of those things. You know, there is an entire billion-dollar industry built on computer problems called IT.
Yes.
So they're not perfect, and they don't work all the time. But when they do work, they're miracles. So, Jack, you have some wisdom here because I'm going to go over into my cranny and cry.
Don't cry in your cranny.
Oh, I tell you what, that cranny has seen more tears than you can imagine.
Okay. All right. Good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
Looks like Kamala Harris just came out swinging, huh?
Oh, wow. Yeah, she did.
Good deal. All right. Ohio GOP Senator George Lang calls for civil war if Trump loses. I guess that goes to show you how deranged the Republican Party has become to call in a threat to a nation on an election that hasn't even happened yet. They are calling for violence against your brother and your sister if they don't get their way. Like a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. Republicans, grow up. Y'all need to get humble. Nobody likes a bully, and all you're doing is bullying the people. Your fascist relationship with big business will be your undoing.
Wah. Why does this not surprise me, Jack? How unhinged has the Republican Party become? I mean, I see it every day, and I'm looking at it going, what is wrong with you people? Don't you see this? Apparently not.
Money corrupts.
You know, it is sad. You know, let me tell you what I did last night. Because I jump into Fox News every so often. You know, every day I just to see the flavor where they are. Because again, what I point out all the time is there are some people who the news that they get is directly from Fox News or OAN or Newsmax. That's all they see. And I wanted to sit myself in that, as I've done several times. There are times that I simply listen to right-wing radio just so that I can see why people are thinking the way they are. And I decided to do that last night since, I wanted to see what the coverage looked like And the MAGA establishment is in an utter panic. It starts out with Donald Trump having said, and it's almost like he tells. He's really mentally unstable, because even if you are in a campaign, normally there are certain things you don't want to say, and he just said it. We've spent millions of dollars on what we were going to do with Biden being the candidate. Now we have to start all over again, and then he started to talk about, well, they have to figure out Kamala, all these kinds of things. I don't know if you realize right now the attacks on Kamala are not a cohesive attack. The only thing they have right now is they just know that they need to attack. And I was listening to Sean Hannity yesterday, and whenever you see, Howard just said, what's wrong with those people? Again, it is who they trust and who they trust or telling them, and who they don't hear or don't trust. In other words, they don't get a chance to balance their information or see truth for what it is. Sean Hannity last night was in a outright flaming, blasphemous, whatever you want to say, against Democrats yesterday. And you could see the panic in them as they see what they thought was a sure win completely slipping away. And he just spoke, and you could feel, I could feel that if I were one of those listeners who trusted Sean, who trusted Fox News as somebody delivering valid information, I could feel the despair that those people are feeling, because they have been lied to for so long. They have a different sense of what's really happening, from immigration, when they spoke about immigration and what's happening in the country, to the policies that Democrats pass. They are lost. They honestly think, and I'm not talking about Sean thinks. Sean Hannity knows better. All those hosts at Fox News, they know better. They are purposefully lying to the people who trust them. And as I'm listening to it, I further understand why some of the callers that we have here think the way that they think. And what, in a lot of ways, we have to do is try to refocus these people, not into taking what we say as face value, but taking what we are talking about and doing a little bit of research on their own, and not having the absolute influence from some other entity to do it. It's such an important place for us to go. But anyhow, I wanted to say that just to kind of let folks understand that these people are really scared. They really think that progressives and others have horns. And in that process, what they do is they sit there and believe what's being told. The numbers no longer matter if you don't have access to them. And, we got a call. Let's go ahead and go to Joe. Come on in, Joe.
Hey, good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, and I gotta tell you, your message is just false, man. I mean, MAGA. I'm MAGA, and I'm not afraid. I'm not freaking out. I don't watch any of those news sources you just mentioned. And when people like Howard say, "How do they not see this?" It's because we're not watching the propaganda news, man. We're not watching MSNBC or any of the other garbage. You guys sound just as ridiculous as Rush Limbaugh or Sean Hannity or any of the rest of them, right? You might as well start selling gold. That's just ridiculous.
You know what? You know what, Joe? Let me just interrupt you for a second here. One of the things that I like to do with anybody, whether you're on the left, right, or whatever, is whenever we talk in policy or issues for one issue at a time, I like for you to go ahead and tell specifically where you think things that I've said or that Howard have said is incorrect. And, from immigration to child care to all the things that we support, I would like people like you call yourself a proud MAGA, to express one item at a time, not in generalities, one item at a time, what we have said that is actually wrong.
Well, Egberto, the other day I was searching the internet to find what you would call, what you're trying to, what you like about Biden and what it is policies, and so I'm searching for things like poverty and I searched you and I came across Willies Media, and then I found, to my surprise, that you had actually recorded one of our phone calls where you asked me the same question, right? And rather than answer it, because the answer is everything you say is a distortion. Everything.
Okay. Again, for our audience to understand, Joe, right? When you make comments like everything I say is a distortion, what is a good thing for you to do then is to specify what specifically that I said was a distortion. I'd like you to tell me what specifically that I said that is incorrect or is misleading or whatever. And then the audience that's listening to us can come back and determine who has validity. So specifically, what are you speaking about?
Okay, I mean, at the top of my list is the time you said that Donald Trump is evil incarnate.
Okay, let's define what evil means. Evil means doing things that harm other human beings. I can itemize, and I'm not even talking from a policy point of view. I can itemize from a social point of view many things that Donald Trump has done to hurt people, which is the definition of an incarnate evil. And I can start by saying he has several working class people work for him at his hotels. He stiffed them, and when they sued him, held them in court, putting them at risk for bankruptcy, some going into bankruptcy. He has raped women, categorically proven. He has created schools, universities where he took people's money under the pretense that he's doing them, that he's teaching them something. He's lied to them about that, taking their money. So, I mean, when I say that, there's a backing for what I've said. Every single thing that I say, there's a back end. So what's the other topic you think that I'm incorrect about?
So that's what I'm saying. It's a distortion, dude. You maintain, some thread of plausibility, but
what did I say? I just gave you an example. Sir, of why the guy is evil.
I take the time to call here, right? And I don't like getting dumped on by you, right? But just the point is, Tammany Hall. Did you learn about Tammany Hall in school and Boss Tweed and all that? That's exactly what you've got now. That's exactly what you've got now. Your leaders do not reflect the will of the people. Your leaders were appointed by Tammany Hall. This candidate you're so proud of, she washed out early in your last primary, and she was selected for her characteristics.
Joe, you have yet to tell me what I've said that was incorrect. I mean, I hear you go off on your rant, and that's okay. I give you your platform because I believe in giving everybody a hearing. But again, you can't. Let me tell you what it sounds like. There's something that there's.
I'll give you another one.
Go ahead.
I'll give you another one. Okay. I'll give you another one. A lot of times, your talking points align perfectly with the Democrat press releases. And one of them, it was predictable. You came out and said that crime is down, right? And the database that supported that data, right, was corrupt.
Okay, let's stop.
these data said, oh, when I called you out on it, you got all squishy on me, and then you said, well, no, crime in the cities is down, and that's what you rely on.
You're first of all, that statement that you just said is false. I never got squishy. Crime is absolutely, there's, again, you have to determine what you're going to use as your baseline. Okay, in other words, how do you determine if crime is down? You look at the statistics that are out there for crimes that are occurring now. I mean, and the fact of the matter, crime is down. Now you can try to say otherwise. That's what you guys have to, that's what you thought you could run on, but crime was higher under Trump than it was under Biden. Now, I am not going to say that Biden specifically solved the crime problem. What I will say is that crime is a socioeconomic thing in the aggregate, and what Biden's policy, because it helped people more on an economic level, that will inherently, indirectly reduce crime. Crime went up under Trump. Period. You know, I mean, we can.
The data doesn't support that, dude. The data does not support that.
The data, sir. Unfortunately, you are okay, Joe. I got. My phones are filled up, and what I'm saying, whenever you decide, and look, we could actually. I would love to do this. We'll go for coffee with our computers, each of us, and we go ahead and look up the data together and show that. I mean that. You know what, sir? I mean that. We'll go ahead. I would love to have MAGA against progressive, a camera there. We start item for item, look it up for America to see. You see, because what happens is this: we are in silos. So everybody do their things separately, and they lie to you about your things, and then I have to spend a whole lot of time refuting it one at a time. And what I told you again, and wait, hold on. Unlike the right, I tell people don't take what I say at face value. Look it up. But Joe, we'll have to go because my lines are completely filled up. And I need to go to Moses. But look, you got a platform here, brother. You can keep calling.
Work together on.
Thank you, sir. We can.
Figure out what we can work together on.
Yes, we'll talk later, Joe. Thank you so kindly for calling. Let's go to Moses.
Morning, my brother.
Egberto, tú sabes cómo decir mi nombre.
Oh, buenos días, mijito. Now, I'm going to be very short. What is happening with the Republicans? Wickedness have surprised the hypocrites. They are afraid. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Moses. And you know what? A lot of the reality is, whenever you have all the isms, whether it be sexism, racism, homophobia, the misogyny, all these things, their genesis is in fear, and it is a powerful tool. And one of the reasons I believe in engaging people is when you're engaging everybody, the fear dissipates. That's why people love things like integration and that sort of stuff. Because when people realize, oh, God, you mean you care about your kid just like I care about mine? You mean you care about your well-being just as much as I do? That is why we do what we do. Anything else, Moses?
Like I always tell you, this fight does not belong to man. God is running this fight. And the hypocrites, they are afraid because they realize when they least expect, the whole thing is turned over on them. And just like Pharaoh in the middle of the flood, when the flood came up, when God turned the flood upon him, it was too late for him to run back or go forward. God was ready to fight. That battle belongs to God. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Moses. Let's go to David. Come on in, David. Good morning, my dear brother.
Oh, hey, morning. It kind of cracks me up to hear that poor MAGA guy, ranting and raving. If you remember Santos, the congressman that.
Absolutely, from New York, absolutely.
Right, and if you look at who voted to keep him in the House of Representatives. Let's see, it was Arrington from Texas, Babin of Texas. It was Carter of Texas. It's real easy to just go to, House of, I think it's called house.gov.
.gov, yeah.
Yeah, and just go through that vote and see how many Texans, what did I say, Carter, Cloud, Fallon, all of these Republican congressmen voted to keep a con artist in Congress just so they could have power. Now, what's their motivation of keeping power? And maybe that MAGA guy ought to perk up his ears, because when you look at the history of currency speculators, I think even that MAGA guy mentioned gold. The old history of gold in running a country was they could bounce the value of the gold, and then the value of whole nations would bounce around. So if you were a farmer, if you were a miner, if you owned a mining company, and you dug up tons and tons of minerals, if you had your whole crop was in, or you were preparing to put in your crop, and then all of a sudden the value of the currency bounced, then you could lose 20%. You could gain 20%, but you're more likely to lose 20% or 40% or 70%. That's what caused World War I. That's what caused World War II, the currency speculators. And these rats in Congress are kissing up to the Saudi Arabians who want to drop the U.S. dollar as the world's currency, and they want to go over to Putin money. They want to go over to Saudi Arabian money. They want to go to China money as the value. And then, boy, oh boy, you're going to see the value of everything you own lose 20%, 40%, 70%. Those MAGA rats, they know this. You listen to the MAGA radio shows, they all have gold brokers as their advertisers. Those gold brokers love the idea of saying that America's about to fall, America's dying, America's falling. Well, that's the trick that those gold brokers did, the currency speculators did before World War I, before World War II. They pretended that the value of the whole nation was falling apart just because they said so. And they would ruin economies just so they could make short-term gain, because they had this currency or that currency, and then when it would rise, they would gain on it. When it would fall, they would sell it short. And it's
David, I'm so glad that you mentioned that about speculation, etc. The thing about what hurts me the most is that the people that are carrying the water for those economic thugs are the ones that the things that they're supporting hurts the most. And you see these people gravitating to, in watching Fox News yesterday, that is what was so interesting. The kind of commercials you see, the ads that you see on Fox News are so different than the ads you see on any other station. They were ads about how good coal is, and coal is a great mineral that the world is using more of. And like you also talked about the gold and all these things that materially harms these people. These people are the same people that don't support socialized health care, when socialized health care is what was keeping rural hospitals alive. So now rural hospitals are dying. It is so sad. But David, I got to go to another call, but thank you for bringing your point of view, my brother.
Well, sure. Hey, no trouble. Just to wrap up, you got Hunt of Texas, you got Jackson of Texas. All of these guys are Republican congressmen from Texas. And
Right.
guess who voted a different way? Luttrell. You can sign me out whenever you want, but I'll just keep reading. McCall. Let's see,
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go, David. But thank you very much for that, my brother. Appreciate you. Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, Armando, Egberto Willis. Good morning, Howard. Good morning, Jack. What was it, Egberto, that Jack said about the guy that if the Republicans lose, they were going to try to start a civil war? What's that guy's name?
Let me pull it up for you. But yeah, his Lang. His last name is Lang, Lang,
From Ohio.
from Ohio.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to really drive this home yesterday because I had used up my time talking about Kamala Harris, and so this is really actually for John and Ray. I know Ray was when Trump was shot. Ray, and I remember Howard mentioning on that show that he feels Ray, but you should not wish death on anyone. And John, I heard what you said yesterday. You should not wish death on anyone because be careful what you wish for. You might get it, and it may come back on you. Al Sharpton said that on his show a couple weeks ago, the day after Trump was shot. That you just, I don't like Trump's politics, and we just have to defeat him at the polls. That's what you got to do. But you don't wish death on him. And if Trump does win, then the Democrats just have to work hard to make sure, hopefully they'll hold the Senate and they don't get a trifecta that they had in 2017, and then hopefully they can get the House back in 2026, and then the Democrats can take the White House back in 2028. But John, don't do that because that karma has a way of rearing its head, and it could come back to harm you. And the same goes for you, Ray. I love your politics, and I love the way you talk about progressive things. But yeah, don't wish death on anyone.
Thank you very much, Harry. Let's go ahead and go to Brother Johnny. Come on in, Johnny.
When I say 9-year-old and 12-year-old, what might be the first images that come to your mind in terms of milestones? A 9-year-old would typically be a third grader, right?
Right.
The 12-year-old will be typically a sixth grader. There are some iconic black and white photographs from the late 19th and early 20th century, going back to the robber baron era, of children who aren't in third grade or sixth grade, but are covered in dust and dirt. Some of them have no shoes on, photographed in a textile factory or in a coal mine doing work that adults typically do. What we have now, fast forwarding to 2024, is two photographs side by side circulating on the internet right now. One is of the Arkansas governor, what's her name, smiling, a big smile, evil smile, as she holds up a bill that she just signed into law, making it possible to take us back to the time when children were put at labor instead of allowed to go to school. And the kids they had next to her, they were dressed up in suit and ties, and they looked so miserable. Compare that to a Democratic governor in a nearby state who was smiling and hugging some kids who were all smiling because he had signed some legislation, I think expanding or revitalizing some school lunch programs for kids. That is how you define evil. Another thing, who is responsible for separating children from their parents at the border when parents are fleeing for their lives, coming to America because we're supposed to be a shining city on the hill? Huh? Is that libs? Or is that people like Donald Trump and his clan? Huh? So, Joe, you are drowning in hate. I feel sorry for you.
Thank you so kindly, Johnny. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Let me get to Anonymous. Anonymous, come on in.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Talk to me. Are you there, Anonymous? Okay, I guess that's a prank call. Let's go ahead and let's can that. All right. Anyway, folks, the lines are empty now. I got through all 6. 713-526-5738. Again, that is 713-526-5738. All right. Like I mentioned, the title of the show today is, of course, Harris, hell of a Trump speech. Harris Whitmer ticket. What do you think? Ohio GOP Senator says civil war needed. We covered the Civil War with Jack before. Now, I want to play you one piece here that I did yesterday. This would be Kamala's first, what I call her first stump speech. It really, I don't think she called it that. It's when she went to the headquarters to speak to the Biden people that will now become her people for the campaign. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Kamala Harris gave her first stump speech. She went to the Biden-Harris headquarters, now the Harris headquarters in Delaware, and she gave that stump speech that had a lot of parts to it. I cut out a particular section of the speech that encompasses exactly how the campaign must go, and it is clear that they understand exactly what they have to do to not only beat Trump, but beat Project 2025, and also in a manner that America sees the future. Check this out, then we'll take it on the other side.
So in the days and weeks ahead, I, together with you, will do everything in my power to unite our Democratic Party, to unite our nation, and to win this election. You know, as many of you know, before I was elected as vice president, before I was elected as United States Senator, I was the elected Attorney General, as I've mentioned, of California. And before that, I was a courtroom prosecutor. In those roles, I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And in this campaign, I will proudly put my record against his. As a young prosecutor, when I was in the Alameda County District Attorney's Office in California, I specialized in cases involving sexual abuse. Donald Trump was found liable by a jury for committing sexual abuse. As Attorney General of California, I took on one of our country's largest for-profit colleges and put it out of business. Donald Trump ran a for-profit college, Trump University, that was forced to pay $25 million to the students it scammed. As district attorney, to go after polluters, I created one of the first environmental justice units in our nation. Donald Trump stood in Mar-a-Lago and told big oil lobbyists he would do their bidding for a $1 billion campaign contribution. During the foreclosure crisis, I took on the big Wall Street banks and won $20 billion for California families, holding those banks accountable for fraud. Donald Trump was just found guilty of 34 counts of fraud. But make no mistake, all of that being said, this campaign is not just about us versus Donald Trump. There is more to this campaign than that. Our campaign has always been about two different versions of what we see as the future of our country, two different visions for the future of our country. One focused on the future, the other focused on the past. Donald Trump wants to take our country backward to a time before many of our fellow Americans had full freedoms and rights. But we believe in a brighter future that makes room for all Americans. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. That's right. We believe in a future where no child has to grow up in poverty, where every person can buy a home, start a family, and build wealth, and where every person has access to paid family leave and affordable childcare. That's the future we see. Together, we fight to build a nation where every person has affordable health care, where every worker is paid fairly, and where every senior can retire with dignity. All of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency. Because we here know when our middle class is strong, America is strong. That's right. And we know that's not the future Donald Trump is fighting for. He and his extreme Project 2025 will weaken the middle class and bring us backward. Please do note that. Back to the failed trickle-down policies that gave huge tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and made working families pay the cost. Back to policies that put Social Security and Medicare on the chopping block. Back to policies that treat health care as only a privilege for the wealthy instead of what we all know it should be, which is a right for every American. Right. America has tried these economic policies before. They do not lead to prosperity. They lead to inequity and economic injustice. And we are not going back.
Kamala Harris did exactly what she needed to do. She prosecuted Trump. Man, that equating Trump as a rapist, Trump as a thief, and Trump as a crook. I mean, it was so well placed compared to all the people she's prosecuted. She pretty much says Trump represents every single person that she's prosecuted with the plethora of illegalities that he has done, with the plethora of law breaking, with the plethora of just thuggish behavior. But secondly, she also addressed Project 2025 and the dangers that would come to pass if implemented. But she didn't just make this a speech where she is attacking Donald Trump and just speaking about how bad Project 2025 is going to be, but she gave the Americans something to look for, something to see as their future, something to look forward to. And that is what a speech of the future should sound like. You prosecute the evil one. You prosecute that which would harm, the actual policies that would harm, and then you move forward. This is what I intend to provide you. Elect me, because under our tutelage, under our presidency, your life will be better, and here is why. And you know what? Again, this is not conjecture, right? Because who would be her predecessor, being Biden, while the right demonize him as doing all these bad things, when you look at the numbers, as I try to explain to Joe, if we could sit down and actually look at the numbers, look at the changes, and look at what occurred, including likely the good things that occurred for him, it's under the tutelage of Biden and the policies that the guy wanted to pass. When I go out, look, I was never a Biden fan. But when I say that, he has been the most consequential president for me and for most Americans when it comes to the policies that he implemented. That's not conjecture. I've said the only comparable thing in our lifetime is really Obamacare, which made healthcare a tad bit better than it otherwise would be. But when it comes to policies that implementing green movement towards a greener America, when it talks about better social policies like child care, etc. When it comes to the starting of the implementation of family leave that Republicans decided, we don't believe in that kind of stuff, even though we claim to be family values. When it comes to those issues, he has made a material difference. Infrastructure, no other president, everybody's been talking about it. You know, Trump used to have, it's infrastructure week, never got a bill. This man got a $1 trillion bill. So let's be real and let's be honest. Let's go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
Hey, good morning. Hey, well, I like when Joe and Bart come on, but they don't back up whatever they say. Joe this morning, all he said he heard it on the internet, but he didn't say what websites he got his information from. and they listen to so many lies that they can't distinguish between truth and lies. But what's worse is all these lies is you can't distinguish between right and wrong. And when you call they're kind of thin-skinned hypocrites when you start pointing out the stuff that's wrong, that they say that's wrong. I remember right-winger complained about Kamala Harris, saying that she says she's African-American. No, she's not African-American. He said she's from Jamaica. So I had to tell him, where do you think the black Jamaicans came from? And after that, he was quiet. He couldn't rebut that.
You know, and, it is funny because, I mean, I'm glad that you picked up on that, right? Because there's a reason why the right wing tries to use that, right? Because they want to create they think for some reason, Augie, that because she is of black descent, and I'll use black descent if it makes them happier, that they can separate any black person who may feel a joy because, wow, a black woman or a black person may somehow get a position of power in this country, that they can create friction between different levels of different groups of people of color. That's the magic that they do, creating differences, creating fights, etc. And that's what that's all about when they say, oh, she's not African American. Because what they do is they divide people by labels, and in doing so, right, they think they can split, let's say, black vote, Latino vote, white vote, etc. You don't see them doing that with let's say the white vote, which is Irish, English, French, Portuguese. They don't do that, right? But they want to do it otherwise. Anyway, continue, my brother.
Oh, yeah, and it's funny. At the Cottonwood Club this weekend, I was there Friday and Saturday. I was talking to some lady, and people always ask her what country she's from. But when she tells that to a white person who's asking her where she's from, she asks them, okay, where are you from? Oh, we're from here. We're from America. No, where's your family from? Oh, no, they're from here. What? Yeah, right. And I was thinking how they attacked Biden for saying bullseye before the shots were taken at Trump. Bullseye is a term I heard growing up all my life. That means you're right. And if you're in the shooting range, it means you're a good shot. But they didn't say anything when they actually put a picture of Obama when he first ran on a bullseye target. And that manufacturer made those targets, sold out. All those fascist Republicans bought up all those targets and actually got a target of Obama on the bullseye. And then when they ran out of targets, they started shooting it as election posters. And then that wasn't enough. They included his wife. Why did they include his wife? They put up pictures of her as a monkey, as an ape. And that wasn't right. That's wrong. But the
hate on I gotta go, Augie, but the hate on the other side, I just find it astounding. And not only that, the fact that they do it and then try when it's called out, they try to find some crazy excuse for, oh, that's not what we really meant. But look, Augie, I got a bunch of other calls, so I got to run. But thank you so kindly for calling in with your point of view, my brother.
And thanks for what you do there. Bye.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Hey, good morning. In Joe's defense, what you're seeing with a lot of folks, and it's natural. It's natural for people from the left or the right. When you disrupt their worldview, it is very, very, very difficult for anybody to take that passively. You're going to defend your worldview, especially if you make your money off of it. If you really does have ties to the petroleum industry, he's gonna fight for that petroleum industry as hard as he can because that's how he eats. But that's not why I called. Trump is promising to export all of our workers that might look a little different than me. That might have been born in a different country and even might be on their way to citizenship. I worked with somebody. It took them 5 years to get his citizenship, and he wanted it the whole time. There's different paths for different people, but that's not even what I called either. Besides the integration, he's talking about drill, and lifting an export ban on natural gas. We're already drill too much. And what I want people to consider is this is our legacy and our opportunity for our children and our children's children. That's our petroleum. To compress and put that on a boat to export it takes 2 months. It takes a tremendous amount of energy. So we're losing a lot of net energy just to export natural gas. And again, natural gas can power a city. It can power gigantic economies. And to sell something off to the highest bidder or even the lowest bidder a lot of times just is illogical. It's too valuable to us. And the way we extract that now is we're exchanging fresh water for natural gas because natural gas used to be a byproduct of drilling, and it used to just come off the wells. Well, we went through all that. We ran out of that 10 or 15 years ago. That's why we have to frack now. And fracking's dangerous for the workers. It's dangerous for the local economies. It destroys people's minerals. They go on anywhere that you have the land rights but not the mineral rights. A petroleum company is going to move in there. They're going to frack and they're going to destroy your well water.
And I think Patrick, I think that is something a lot of people don't know. A lot of people think they're landowners. They're landowners that they can put a drill bit under your land and you have no mineral rights, so they can do it as they please. Now, here's an interesting thing that you said. You define, when you talk about we are selling our values, that is where I always find this nationalism as a joke, right? Because here it is that the right and the right-wing billionaires, they use nationalism to convince a group of people in America to give them all the power to do whatever they want with our natural resources, irrespective of regulation and pollution. But when it's time to sell and make a profit, they don't count the people that help them get there. They go to the highest bidder. And it's what capitalism is, right? They go to the highest bidder, and many a times the highest bidder are the people from another country or somebody that is in a different class than those who actually gave these guys the power to actually harm them. So you hit on so many things that people, because again, we have a poor educational system on the high school, elementary school level here, where we don't teach civics, where we don't teach logic. People get a chance to be easily fooled. And unfortunately, the people that are easily fooled are the ones that least should be fooled. And when we talk about evil, the people who know better are generally the ones harming those people who are being fooled. But Patrick, I got to go to Bart and Brian. So thank you so kindly for bringing your point up, sir. Thank you. All right. Let's go to Brother Bart. Come on in, Bart.
Yes, I'm glad you said that the people are easily fooled, because you and 99% of your listeners don't know that we had just lived through a coup. Joe Biden was overthrown yesterday.
Wow.
And this does not fall in line with the Constitution. So if you can tell me where.
All right. Okay. You know what? I don't have a lot of time, but Bart, you just said something. I want you to prove your point. What happened within the Democratic Party where Kamala Harris is now likely the vote getter from the delegates? What part of that is unconstitutional? Give me the constitutional paragraph that corresponds to what was done that was incorrect.
Biden cannot just step down and appoint Harris.
Please, he didn't appoint her. Wait again. That's not true. The delegates she just got last night, the Texas delegation took her over the top. Who specifically ordered something? Again, Biden stepped down. That's not constitutionally illegal. The party has its own set of rules, and the rules of the party said if he steps down, that these other people have the right to elect who they want to elect, and they elected Kamala Harris. What part of that is unconstitutional? I mean, Fox News is saying that a lot. That's what I tell you about fooling people. Fox News also said that. It's a false statement, and people who don't read the Constitution do fall for that. Please give me the constitutional paragraph.
Who's our president right now?
Our president is he's Brian
until Trump's elected. So who's our president from now?
Our president is Biden. Biden is our president. Go ahead, continue.
Okay, where is he?
Oh, Bart, I got to go to Brian because you're not making sense today, my brother. I'm sorry. I just told you, give me the constitutional part and what's wrong. Now you try to change the subject. Where is Biden? Biden was just on the phone with Kamala Harris yesterday afternoon. He's sick with COVID. What do you do when you have COVID? You isolate. Thank you, Bart. I got to go to Brian. Come on in, Brian.
Good morning to all the volunteers that help out this station. If anybody wants to donate, you're free to do so.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you for always starting that way. Go ahead.
Yeah. Kamala Harris dropped out of the presidential primaries due to lack of support by anyone. She received no delegates.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
True.
But before she did, you do remember that she was that scared little girl that was bused during segregation.
Yes.
The process of busing children.
Yes. Make your point, but I don't have a lot of time. Make your point.
Yeah, she's the exact same age as I am. Actually, I'm 1 year older than she is, and I was bused, and it didn't create a problem for me lifelong.
True.
Okay, explain to me 2025 DEI, right?
Yeah.
How did she get her job? How did she get her job?
She earned her job. She earned it.
Not by qualifications, man. Man, she didn't get her job from qualifications.
Okay, let me tell you. How did Trump earn his job? How did Trump earn his job? She went to school. What's that? And guess what people are doing for Kamala? They voted. They voted for Kamala.
Oh, wait a minute. Did they not vote for Kamala? No,
they did vote for Kamala.
Delegate.
Wrong. She dropped out of the. Wait. Hold on, Brian. Hold on. When she ran for president, she dropped. Wait, Brian. Listen. When she ran for president, she dropped out before the delegate counts were on. Number one. Number two. When she ran with. Let me finish. When she ran with Biden, that ticket got 14 million votes. So therefore, if there's anybody who has a right to follow Biden, it's her, who the people voted that said if Biden cannot do the job, I wish that she would be the one to do the job. I got to go for one last time to Johnny before we close the program out. You've been speaking for 2 minutes, 17 seconds. So I did give you your time. Thank you, my brother. We'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow. Come on in, Johnny. 1 minute.
Real quickly, I'd like to ask both Hey Joe and Brian, how many of those kids, those children who were separated at the border from their families and disappeared into illegal adoption and sex slave trade, how many of those children have been found and reunited? How many are still out there? You want to talk about evil? How about the reaction that we have audio tape of people who run those prisons at the border who were making fun of those poor children crying for their mothers and fathers? That's evil. Evil also is a border guard who kicks gallon water jugs in the desert with a big smile. That's evil.
Thank you, Johnny.
Don't tell me about evil.
Johnny, thank you. Time up. Thank you very much. All right, folks, let me tell you, first of all, I really want to engage the other side with the expectation that I get a seat in there somewhere. Because unfortunately, I'd like any one of you to turn to Newsmax, Fox News, or OAN and stomach it for an hour or two. Really try to do it. And you'll see why many people are the way they are, the way they think. It's an alternate state of reality. The only difference is, as you've seen from the program today, there is not, every time I ask for specific evidence, I asked Bard for specific evidence that what's being done with Kamala Harris was unconstitutional. The subject was changed to, where is Biden now? When I asked Joe to give a specific thing that I said was wrong, when he came simply say, the way we talk, we just give misinformation, he could not find one. And the one item he tried to point out was, to put it as nice as I could, made absolutely no sense. We had our brother Brian, who questioned Kamala Harris's qualifications. Kamala went to school. Kamala passed the same bar test that every other person has to pass. And at the same time, she didn't commit any crimes to do any of this. Of course, we know that Donald Trump is a thug. That is verifiable, quantifiable. The things that he did, from raping women to ripping people off, that is quantifiable and identifiable. Again, I made my case. They simply cannot. Go ahead to the studio, please.
Well, I must say that you really riled up the audience today. The audience, it must be that full moon standing out there.
Yes, sir.
So, well, nothing for me, basically. Just sitting here listening to all of it and the arguments and the talking overs, and it's just another great day here at the radio. Jack, what you got?
Well, I was thinking about propaganda. You know, there's propaganda on the left and right, but you know, the person has to really look at it and say, am I being propagandized?
Thank you very much. Let me tell you, folks, the rest of the story is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter for the stories we didn't cover on the show today. Love you all. Thank you so kindly for who you are. Let's go ahead and get this country going. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send